This demonstration will show how Storyteller can detect shadow IT, catalog the cloud services, and bring them into compliance with regulatory obligations and corporate controls and policies to reduce risk. We'll start with the cloud services dashboard in Storyteller. The detected cloud services are categorized, and those categories shown here. They are displayed ranked by traffic and can be explored in this chart. And there's other high-level indicators such as what the top category is and how that's divided into unclassified, blacklisted, and whitelisted services, the trending provider, and the total number of cloud services found and how they divide up. So clicking on this, we will get the complete catalog, which is a paginated list of all 221 services. In this case, this list can be sorted by any of the columns, alphabetical, by volume of traffic. We can also search individual services. And then when we select a service, we get more information, like one or more domains that are known for that service, how it's classified, and its formal name. For the domains, if we click on that, we will actually go to that cloud service. If we click on the service name itself, we will go to the record in Storyteller for that service with its properties. These properties are configurable, and you can add additional if you choose. And one of those properties shows the current state, in this case unclassified. Now, different organizations have different degrees of rigor as to how they wish to classify these services. In the simplest case, we can simply leverage Storyteller's discussion capabilities. And these are email-enabled discussions, meaning that people can participate through their mobile device, for example. When the discussion comes to a conclusion, it can be closed off, meaning it's pushed out of view, but it's always there to be referred back to. And we can change the service status directly here, or it can also be changed back in the dashboard. So if I hit whitelist, for example, we can see the service status has automatically been changed. So let me go back and uncheck that box, meaning it will go back to being unclassified. Now, if we want a little more rigor or formality in the process, maybe more people involved in the analysis and decision making, we can leverage Storyteller's built-in workflow capability. So here's a workflow that I have created for cloud services and their life cycle, beginning with unclassified. These workflows are totally configurable. This is just the one I happen to have created. From unclassified, in this case, I can hit the classify action to push it into a to be classified queue. When we begin the classification, it then transitions into an in progress state where the analysis is being done, and then this group of people will make a recommendation and submit it for review. After review, it's designated as being whitelisted, blacklisted, or in fact could be rejected and sent back to being unclassified. So there is a security layer on top of this workflow. Only certain individuals can do certain things. You can have constraints. You can have automated actions that result from these transitions from state to state, and automatic notifications. So as it moves from state to state, certain individuals or groups of people can be automatically notified. So if we're using that workflow, instead of this property here, we would use this control at the top right. So right now it's in an unclassified state. As you recall in the diagram, I say classify to push it into the to be classified queue. We begin classification so that it's in progress. When we're done, we make a recommendation and submit for review. And then after review, I have those three choices. We're either going to whitelist, blacklist, or push it back into being unclassified. And I'll just do that for now. Now, if you want even more rigor, say around that review capability, Storyteller supports formal baselines and reviews. So for example, here we have a baseline set of 6 cloud services, and I have 5 individuals doing a review on it right now. And we can see the progress through these indicators. The services up for review are shown in this list, 6 in this case. Here are the people doing the review, and they can be designated as only a reviewer, meaning I'm interested in their input or feedback, or they can be an approver, meaning I need their approval in order to move forward. There's additional settings like electronic signature and deadlines, etc. The reviewers get a different experience. It's lighter weight as opposed to the full Storyteller user interface. So here is that experience. We can see a table of contents. Here's that service that we were focusing on in the demo up till now. So I can see the properties and information about it. I can participate in those same discussions through this user interface as a reviewer. And when I'm ready, I can either approve it or disapprove it. As I mentioned, all these detected services are brought into a catalog. So in Storyteller, we hold a broad range of corporate information. One of them here is cloud services. So this is the list of services that we have detected and are currently managing. You saw them displayed graphically a moment ago in the dashboard. Here they are in a tabular list with selected properties that I choose to view. Let's say I pick the Add Expose cloud service. It should be noted that Storyteller keeps a complete history of all changes made to every one of these items. So right now we're on version 7. Many individuals have made changes. We can see the time. If we drill in, we'll see what changes they made. So it provides a complete comprehensive audit trail should we ever need to go back and see what was done in the past for any one of these services. Now, when we detect a cloud service, the next challenge we're faced with is determining what corporate rules, policies, perhaps regulations or obligations that service needs to comply with. One way to discover that is through Storyteller's intelligent recommendations capability. So it will find semantically similar things, like policies, rules, and regulations throughout the repository, and present them to you highlighted to aid the user in finding those things that are potentially impacted. The other thing that Storyteller is able to do is to support simple models of main use cases of these cloud services. So for example, if I pick Salesforce and take a look at it in the catalog, we can see that it has some processes for its main or key use cases available. So for Salesforce, here's a process for at a high level for how we would do lead processing. We can zoom into this process. It's very simple and straightforward to read. We see that a prospect responds to a campaign. We first do deduplication on that lead. And before we do other processing, we actually have a control. And this control is due to a regulation. It's saying that we need to ensure that this lead has not opted out before we communicate with them further. Some controls are activities, so the control itself can be modeled. So this ensuring of opted out, if we drill into the details, we can see the model for that particular control. So the activity for this control is we need to check the GDPR opt-out list. If it's in or not in the list, we do different actions, and that's our control. Now, this control is a component. It could literally be plugged into multiple of our business processes throughout the organization, just like it was into the lead process. If I look at the breadcrumb trail at the top, I can go to the record for the control that describes it in more detail and provides properties. Now this control, if I start to explore relationships, I can see has a relationship back to a risk. So this control is in place to help manage or mitigate the risk of unauthorized processing of personal data leading to privacy infractions and lawsuits. This risk I see is tied back to a legal interpretation of one of our regulatory rules. Here's the interpretation that was performed by our compliance or legal group. And I even have a link back to the original text of the regulation itself. In this case, Chapter 3, Article 17 of the GDPR, dealing with rectification and erasure. Now those relationships that we just walked through, we can actually visualize them. So I can see this article of the regulation. I can see the legal interpretation, the risk. I can see this particular control. It maps to Salesforce, but in this case, many other cloud services as well. In addition to mapping to regulatory obligations, there's other things like corporate policies or rules, or in this case, we have some non-functional requirements that we're obligated to ensure are covered for this particular cloud service, such as screen readers and session timeouts. So Storyteller provides a very powerful visualization capability to literally see the relationships that helps with a number of things, certainly analysis, audit, but also change impact analysis. The last thing I'll show is back to that lead process for a moment. Now this lead process that we were looking at is actually a detailed part of a higher level process, in this case a process dealing with sales and distribution. And sales and distribution is part of a even higher level process or scenario, which is our insurance value chain. So we can see that value chain. Every one of these stages will have its own properties, and as I showed you, we can drill down to greater and greater levels of detail. The value there is we can show and prove that the work being done in that cloud service actually aligns with the higher level objectives of the organization, be it a value chain, be it a customer journey, be it just higher level business processes. It will be exposed very quickly if something is not in alignment. So if I drill back down into sales and distribution, we can see the lead processing where we were before. Let me take a different route. I'm going to go down this other one called opportunity management. So here is another process dealing with how in our company we manage opportunities using the Salesforce Cloud Service. And the reason I came down here is to show another capability of Storyteller. And that is, with most cloud services today, they provide the ability to do extensive customizations. If you need to do any customization, Storyteller can really help in that regard. Let's say we need to customize our create opportunity. What Storyteller allows you to do is to drill into even greater detail, to the point where we can have users interacting with the system. And we can describe it very clearly by even attaching mock-ups or drawings of what the user expects or should see. To help get a group of people in agreement on what it is we want to build, this very simple process model can be turned immediately into a storyboard. So here we have the system displaying new opportunity screen. As a user, I want to enter data, which pushes me down the workflow to the next step. This is a choice. We're at the diamond decision point, where either, if the account exists, the user is allowed to select an account. If the account does not exist, the system is going to display a create account screen. So this storyboard capability is an excellent way to get agreement on what is to be built or customized, whereupon we can then move forward and do that work. And the way we do it is we need to communicate to the developers and testers what it is we want done. And the way Storyteller helps with that is we can automatically generate the assets that developers and testers need. We can generate user stories, for example, along with their acceptance criteria automatically. So for this particular step, this is what the generated user story looks like. As a user, I want to enter data so I can create a direct opportunity in the system. We have the acceptance test or criteria in given when then format, which is very specific. And we even have these augmentations of drawings or screenshots to better communicate what it is we're actually looking for. Now, these automatically generated user stories are sent instantly into the task management solutions that most people are using. Tools like Jira, Rally, version 1. So it will appear in their backlog. That's that story that I showed you, along with the attachments of those images, as well as a Gherkin feature file or acceptance test in the given when then format. So that is if, after we've detected and cataloged and whitelisted, let's say, certain cloud services, and we choose to customize them or enhance them to derive greater value, Storyteller can drive a development cycle in a very efficient manner to make that happen, ensuring that everything done is in alignment with the user need and that that's in alignment with the higher level corporate objectives as expressed in value chains, journeys, and business processes. Lastly, with all the information and activity that's going on in Storyteller around detecting and managing shadow IT and cloud services, we have the ability to analyze that data and report on it through a series of dashboards and reports, again, that are highly configurable to get the information that you need. So that's the demonstration on how Storyteller can help detect shadow IT instances and bring them into an environment where they can be managed, provide additional value, while at the same time reducing the risk to the organization.